And I would like to see all the faces that are here today to show up at Cobo Hall at 4 p.m. Sunday afternoon, because we have a message for the GM CEO, Mary Barra. We have to communicate to her that it is not acceptable to fire workers after they're injured, after they're unable to work, and to put them out in the street, which is exactly what her corporation is doing in the plant in Columbia. There's a connection between that and why we're here today, and it all has to do with bankruptcy. Bankruptcy is an attack on democracy, pure and simple. Bankruptcy is the means, is the tool, is the weapon that is being used by the corporations against the masses, either in the city or in the workplace. General Motors and Chrysler went through bankruptcy in 2008. Did they go after General Motors because they made dangerous cars that kill people? No. They went after General Motors because their contracts with the UAW were just far too lucrative for the working class. They used the weapon of bankruptcy to take away our power as a union. One of the items that they demanded, that they required, was that the UAW would give up its right to strike. This was part of the bankruptcy. You could not strike until 2015. Many things that were won through militant struggle were taken away. How? By bankruptcy. And why? How is this connected to the Colombian workers that work for GM in Bogota? There used to be a union at GM called Motores that had a very powerful unit that went on strike in 1997. That union was busted. Today, there are only 45 members of that union left inside that factory. The other 1,500 workers were required to sign a form that said, we won't join a union upon getting hired. We're not going to join a union in order to keep their jobs. This is what's coming here with right to work. This is what's coming here with bankruptcy used against the union power, just as it's used against civic power in the city of Detroit. So on Sunday, we're going to go to this big auto industry World Congress. It's cost $1,000 a day to be there, so you can imagine who's coming. And we're going to be outside to demonstrate to Mary Barra that we are in solidarity with the Colombian workers, because we know that is also in our self-interest. And you know what? We're going to show up with all kinds of crutches. We're going to show up with canes, because we're going to make it very visible what they're doing to the workers in Colombia, and what they're bound to do to the workers here. They're going to throw us out of the jobs, no union, and they're going to cast us out in the street. They do not want to pay workers' comp. They do not want to pay anything. They want to use us as slaves. Please show up on Sunday. Please show up at 4 o'clock p.m. We'll be in front of Cobo Hall, and we're going to give them a spectacle they won't forget. Thank you very, very much.
Hello, my name is Susan Steller. Those of you who read News and Letters newspaper know me as Susan Van Gelder also. And I want to talk about something that the brother from the Green Party and the sister Sharon over there said. They talked about how people in Detroit are really having a political discussion these days. There's a lot more going on. I live in the city and I see it. I've also been studying the Chicago teachers' strike of 2012. And I think in that strike, that was successful but is facing huge challenges today. Nevertheless, I think what was their strength was that the teachers reached not only to the parents and the community, but they had a vision of what they wanted for the children. They wrote a document. It's called The Schools Chicago Children Deserve, and you can get it online. So in that sense, I want us here in Detroit to think about what kind of visioning do we need to do? How do we want to turn these Detroit future city plans and blight plans into something that's meaningful for the community, for the people? And my friend Jean over here has started a conversation, and I would like to invite anyone who's interested in developing this kind of thinking, because otherwise we're just reacting. That's important, but we need to be proactive if we want to get to the next level. So talk to Jean or me if you want to participate in this conversation. Thank you.
And it won't surprise some of you that I want to talk about the Lipke Recreation Center. Yeah. On September 4th at 5:45 p.m. in the Coleman A. Young Municipal Center on the 13th floor, the City Planning Commission, an entity under the City Council, will be holding a hearing on whether to declare the Lipke, 15 acres of the Lipke Recreation Center complex and playfield, declare it as surplus and recommend that it be transferred to Planning and Development for the purpose of transferring to the Salvation Army. The Salvation Army for the last 2 years has been the only recipient in the queue to receive this. It is intentionally targeted for transferring to them, not to put it up for sale as we generally understand it. Now this hearing, as I said, includes the recreation center and the playfield. However, on July 30th, the mayor signed a statement saying the playfield is going to be retained by the city. Nevertheless, what's going forward is to get the playfield and the recreation center over to the Salvation Army. Pushing this in the vanguard is District 3 City Council occupant Scott Benson, who finds it easy to persuade Gabe Leland and Mary Sheffield and James Tate and Santiel Jenkins to support this giveaway. Let me be clear what's at stake for those of us in this neighborhood. 9 square miles around the Lipke, which is on Van Dyke at 7 Mile, has no recreation facilities. The schools that had recreation facilities have been closed. We have nothing to offer the kids in the highest concentration population of school-age children in the state of Michigan, except to say, gather in the street, play in the street. We're not going to organize, we're not going to educate. And besides our schools, which are our foremost source of education, and secondly our libraries, the recreation complex is the third element of education in our community. And we're watching them try to give it away. This started when the consent agreement got imposed on the city with the collaboration of too many on City Council. They began the process in secret of meeting with the Salvation Army to give them the recreation center. I say give, they say sell. But when we say what's the selling price, they say we can't tell. It's under negotiation. It's been under negotiation for 2 years. What's the appraisal price? Well, we had it appraised, but that's a secret too. So I'm saying giveaway. Let them make the case that it's otherwise. What they're trying to do is disestablish services for the community across the city. This is about privatization. It's about stripping assets. It's what we've been living through consent agreements and emergency management for 2 years. The person who had the lead in 2012 for Dave Bing on this was Charlie Beckham. Charlie Beckham is still taking control of this issue. We don't think that they're 100% unified. We see some splits in what they're saying and doing. But for us, the fight is we're not taking anybody's word for anything. This whole thing has to be fought. If you can't come, please send a representative, send a voice, send a presence, send a block club. September 4th, 13th floor. We're trying to get it moved to the Irma Henderson Auditorium. We had Irma Henderson here, this wouldn't be happening. Marianne Mahaffey, this wouldn't be happening, but it's happening under the here and now of emergency management. And we have a city council that thinks their job is to get raises by doing what the emergency manager says. Let's tell them they need to lose their raise, they need to fight for us, and the planning commission, which is appointed by city council, is the voice, the next forum for us to make that fight. Thank you for all your concerns and attention on this issue. And when we come, we're going to be bringing a busload of school children who we're going to have testify in their own voice. Thank you.